Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca. This video is obviously going to be a bit different than what I normally do. I don't have access to Lefevre gear. There's none in a really local store to me, so I couldn't bring it home and do a video on like I normally do. So I did a video at Just Hockey Store, so huge thanks to them for letting me come in, take one of their rooms, grab their gear, and do a bunch of videos on. This one is on the pads itself. So again, huge thanks to Just Hockey for letting me do these videos. Obviously, the lighting and the sound is going to be very different, so I apologize ahead of time. I didn't know the table was squeaking as bad, like the Gen Pro was squeaking on the table as bad. It didn't sound that bad in person. The mic really just picks up, so I totally apologize for that. As well as it's a really different format, so again, apologies, but it's the only way I could really get a look at the Lefevre gear and compare it to all this other stuff and just like do a snapshot review on it. So if you are buying any hockey equipment or anything, make sure you check out Just Hockey. Follow them on Instagram, links in the description. Show them support for supporting me. It'd be greatly appreciated. Let them know if you make a purchase or anything you came from me. That helps out a lot too. Otherwise, if you want to support this channel, check out the links in the description too, Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. Everything there will go right back into the channel so I keep doing videos and hopefully one day actually use a Lefevre set, for example. Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this is Lefevre 20.1 pad snapshot review. This video will just be on the pads. I'll have one on the blocker and the glove, as well as a video comparing this pad to the Axis pad, but I'm not going to do that right here. So this pad itself is a 33+1. It's standing next to the Axis, it's identical, so very similar in that sense. The kind of interesting thing to me on this pad is how similar it is to an Axis, but you can see there's slight differences on it too. I've used an Axis, so I'll have a full review on that one coming soon as well. But this pad definitely does feel like it has a stiffer core, especially up here as you can see. And the boot is pretty similar, but up here definitely feels stiffer on this pad than it does on the other one. But very stiff pad. But the interesting thing to this, and why I think these pads are kind of unique, is how this part isn't that stiff. And I noticed that when playing a lot too. So basically what I mean by that is when you put it down here, seal and everything and is really good, as you can see here. Lefevre always designed really well, good sealing pads. The interesting part to me is when you push, your body basically pushes the pad over. And so I know there's another review on these pads where it mentioned this hole kind of popping up, and it kind of does happen. So when you go like this, and your pad, anytime you lean forward, your pad goes like this. The back of this, I'll mention later on, isn't hard like it is on ultrasonic, so it's not keeping the pad totally flat and like forcing the whole pad to rotate. The knee block can rotate off the pad itself. So when you're like this, great seal, but then the minute you start leaning, you can see this part come up too. And again, that other review mentions it. I noticed it on my Axis pads, same exact thing. It's not a huge deal. You just have to be cognizant of it. You have to kind of think about it when you're doing post leans, because it is somewhere that people jam that spot on my JRZs before, or JRZs, and you can do it, so you kind of have to be like notice what you're doing, but it is interesting in that sense. The other thing I found interesting is when I put, so the Axis are more, but when I put my hand on here to rest, you could feel it flex. The Axis flexes a lot more than that, so this part, when I mentioned how it was stiffer, is much stiffer in that sense, but like that, you can feel move there. The other thing I noticed is the whole core kind of twists. So when you do that, you can feel this part twisting, which is not something that there's really any of the Bauer stiff pads really do. This one kind of does, so it's kind of an interesting design then, because it's not just a straight stiff pad like Bauer does. Like even my Optic Max cores are pretty stiff. This one's a bit of a mix, and it's interesting. It's something unique on the market, in my opinion, because it definitely feels like it moves a bit better with your leg than you would on a pad that kind of sits on your leg. So very interesting in that sense. All right, so when we look at the side of this pad, and we have their 12.1 next to it, but when we look at the side of the 20.1, you can kind of see this is the new NHL part. When they originally came out with pictures with these, you wouldn't see the binding on separating this gap. This is a rule in the NHL where the calf cannot be the same as the landing part here, so there has to be a gap. That's the same with the SLR2 Pro returns I've seen. Brian's also has a little gap like that. So this needs to be put in there. So now all retail ones come with this. It's also on that one, which you can see. Lefevre makes the exact same pad that the pros get, where CCM still doesn't really do that. But this is kind of the side wrap here and what you can see of it. This is thinned out a lot. The thing that's kind of interesting to me is how all these are a little bit softer than what's on the axis. But when we look at, there's not a ton of interesting things here. This is pretty standard. This is just a normal Gen Pro. When this one is their, I can't remember what it's called, I'm gonna overlay it. It's their version of, it's not speed skin exactly, but it does have dimples on it. So hopefully we'll see that. If not, I'll overlay a picture that really shows off the differences there. But there's not a ton going on right here. This isn't crazy in that sense. The boot is super flat. So hopefully this comes off where there's basically no channel at all anymore, just on this outside edge. Again, that's similar to what a lot of pads are doing now, but this one is, it feels like a big change from what they used to make. And you can see how rounded that is all the way. You have your pro laces. I think these are the hybrid ones right here, which is a very nice quality toe tie on this pad, which is a really nice add. And then before we get onto the strapping, you can see kind of the outside here. Thin profile throughout, all the way through, thicker than what you'll see on Axis and stuff. Again, that'll be in a different video. But thicker, not that thin all the way through here. Thinner right here, obviously, but you do have a pretty big roll all the way through there. And you can see the really simple calf wing here. So the interesting part about these pads is this strapping system, because this is what they talked about a lot. Again, we'll look at the Axis compared to this to take a look at a few things, but right here, you can see an added pillow to help close that right below the knee, and you have your strap that runs around. But that's not the interesting part. Obviously, it's their FRS, fast rotation system strapping, which you can see right here. And this, to me, without, obviously I can't wear these, but to me this feels like the Professor strap that everyone's doing, taken to the next level. How it works: Velcro attachment here, Velcro attachment here, and it has that extra wing on there, and this part all wraps around your body with padded on the inside for, I'm assuming, comfort, but also to push that leg down. So adding that padding with this padding will help push that calf part down on the ice to help that seal. Pretty solid design in my opinion. I like this strapping. It is kind of complicated, as you can see, just how compared to like a normal strapping system, but it's not like complicated to put on, but just like to make and everything. But does it have advantages? Can't wear it, so I can't talk about that, but we'll kind of dissect this a little bit more, how this works too. It has this piece right here, Velcro strap to pull it off, as you can see, and then the Velcro goes in there, and that part's there. And then it has another Velcro part right here that you can adjust for how tight you want and how loose. Happens on both parts. Pretty interesting setup. Interesting material being used here too. Not sure exactly what this is, but it's kind of interesting. So we'll put that back on really quick. Okay, the knee block is nothing super special here. You have Sure Grip right here. This Sure Grip does feel like it's more grippy than the CCM stuff I mentioned in the past, specifically on their gloves. So that's nice. How this opens up, you have your elastic Velcro just attaching there, and there's your knee elastic. Then on the other side, open up, just right there. Very simple design, nothing big here. This is a really hard piece of foam. And then you have your softer foam here. The thing about this compared to like, well, now Bauer's kind of innovating with how this is solid. It's not, there's not a lot of solidness right there, as you can see. The thigh rise is super stiff, as you can see, no bending there at all, which is very similar to all the Fave pads in the past. So what basically the reason that's good is because pucks won't hit this and kind of bend inwards, and people jam, it won't bend as much. That will increase durability, because again, that won't flex on the pad like it has in my past with my original Bryant Optics, and like Vaughn's are really soft, so that's a nice piece right there. So that's about it for my snapshot review on the Lefevre 20.1 pads. Huge thanks to Just Hockey for letting me use this room and letting me come here and check out these pads and do these videos on. Check them out in the description. Support them, help support me. Mention if you make any purchases that came because of my video, it'd be greatly appreciated. These are a solid pad. I enjoyed my time with the Axis. I have a feeling I would just as much enjoy my time on these pads. With that said, I don't think this pad is pushing the boundaries anywhere. They're not changing the game. They're not doing anything out of the ordinary or kind of like edging anything. I don't think this pad really offers anything better than what every other company does. With that said, it's really good all around, and that's not a bad thing. There's no special material for sliding, so it's not going to slide as good as Bauer pads or Vaughn pads, and maybe not even Bryant's. until they change this, you just won't see it. Hopefully with their True's acquisition, maybe that something else will come there, but it won't. There's no crazy materials on the back. But again, it doesn't really matter. It will perform fine. My JRZs are the same without crazy materials, and it's a great pad. So same thing here. This is a light pad. They did strip a lot of stuff out to make it light, and it works well. The nice thing about this company is this pad is what the NHL guys get. So if you want something the NHL guys get, you can get it, because like this is exactly what the NHL guys get. CCM is not the case. So that's really nice on here. This strapping system is unique, but it's not really doing anything super special in my opinion. It's definitely gonna help with seal because of all that extra padding and that pillow. So that's a nice thing, but to me, it's a professor strap, just slightly redesigned. I would love to try it, but I don't have a feeling this will really make or break anything. It's just a nice, more attached feel onto your leg. Again, no issues, it's just not crazy, right? Like I said, overall, this is really a solid pad, everything's great there. I'm really interested to see what True does with this company, because True has a lot of interesting materials that they use on their player stuff, like a foam for their knee landing area would be nice. Maybe using some carbon fibers. I'm not sure what they're going to do with it, but it would be interesting to see if that helps push Lefevre forward at all. This pad, I'm really interested to see what Lefevre does on their next generations of pads to see how they differentiate from CCM, because this is really similar to an Axis, just slightly different. 12.2, we'll see what becomes of that. But I'm excited about it, and I really wish I got to try these on the ice. But construction, everything is really, really solid. There's no way I would not recommend this pad to anyone. It's gonna like do well for you. And if like Bauer stuff is too stiff for you, but you want that flat face but still hard face type of pad, this is a great option, because this one isn't going to be as stiff as Bauer's, but it's going to like be solid all around. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully it was helpful. Remember to check out the video on this compared to the Axis, and then check out the glove video. If you are making any purchase, check out the link in the description to Just Hockey, link also in the description. Support them, let them know you came from me. That way kind of shows appreciative work of back and forth, them letting me use this office and talk about this gear. Thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.